Okay, today I'd like to talk about the different operations with working with integers. As you recall, integers are just all the positive and negative whole numbers, including the number 0. We're going to start off by talking about adding integers. There are two things you need to be concerned with when you're adding integers. The first one is just if the two integers have the same sign. The rule for this situation was simply add the two numbers together and keep the sign that the problem had. So if I had like a -2 plus a -8, all I'm going to do is add the two numbers together. So 2 plus 8, if I ignore the signs, are 10. And since they are both negative, my answer is going to be a -10. You can see that on the number line by starting out with a dot on the -2, and if I take away 8 more, that's going to move it towards the left, so you'll end up with that -10. That was an example with negatives. With positives, this is basically what you guys learned to do in kindergarten. Remember, we said that you could think of positive numbers either with the plus sign, the positive sign right there, or without the positive sign. So that could be rewritten as just 3 plus 4. Most of you, when you see it that way, just add the two numbers together. Either way, it's either going to be a +7 or just a plain old 7. So again, for adding with the same sign, you just add the two numbers together and keep the sign. If you have a different sign and you are adding them together, let's keep the example we had before. I think that's a little bit different, obviously, if it's going to be a different sign. If I have a -2 and a +8 and I'm going to add the two together, first thing I need to do is, ignoring the signs, which one has the largest absolute value. If I ignore the negative and the positive, the 8's a bigger number, so I know that my answer is going to be positive because the +8 is there. And then from this step, all I have to do is subtract the other number from the one that I just chose. So since the 8 has a larger absolute value, it's going to be a positive number, and 8 minus 2 is 6. So a -2 plus a +8 is going to be a +6. What if the negative number was bigger? Well, let's choose like a -9 plus a +4. Again, I look at the absolute values. 9 has a larger absolute value, so my answer is going to be negative, and 9 minus 4 is 5. So the rule for this one again is figure out which one has the largest absolute value. That's going to share the sign with the answer, and then just subtract the smaller number from the larger. And the last problem between addition and subtraction. With subtraction, your safest bet is going to be to use the keep, change, change rule. So if I have like a +3 minus a -2, the keep stands for the first number. I'm going to keep that as a +3. I'm going to change my sign to a positive because it was a negative, and then I'm going to change my second number. This was a -2, so now it becomes a +2. And at this point, you just treat it like an addition problem. So for this one, both of the signs are the same, so it's going to be positive because they were both positives, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So that best bet here is to just keep, change, change. There are algorithms, but a lot of you tend to get confused on finding those. Finally, the easiest for me at least is multiplication and dividing. Two rules here. If the signs are the same, it will always be positive. If the signs are different, it will always be negative. And let me spell that correctly. Signs are different, it will always be negative. So a -3 times a -2, it's always going to be a positive, and it's a 6. If I have different signs, so a -3 times a +2, since the signs are different, it will be a -6. And the same rules work for division, so you just do the division normally, and if the signs match, it will always be positive. If the signs do not match, it will always be negative.